These markets trade in a commodity most consumers wouldn't recognize as a potential invader. The Manila clam is a staple of global seafood, anchoring an international industry worth approximately $7 billion every year. That commercial value drove its expansion far beyond its native range in Russia, Japan, and China. For decades, human industry has aggressively moved these clams across the globe, establishing them in coastal waters on nearly every continent. But the U.S. East Coast remained a major exception. The northwestern Atlantic was the only significant northern hemisphere coastline not yet reached. Preserving this geographical gap was vital for local ecosystems. It allowed native shellfish to thrive without facing the pressure of a highly efficient non-native competitor that has dominated coastal waters elsewhere. The first sign that this isolation had ended came in the summer of 2025. During a workshop on the harbor, an undergraduate student noticed a shell that looked out of place and sent a message to local researchers. That shell was found here, on Spectacle Island. It was a single discovery, but suggested that the species might have finally crossed into Boston Harbour. The report triggered an immediate response. Biologists began a series of intensive surveys across the harbor's mudflats to determine if this was a one-off sighting or something more established. Surveys at Squantum and Calf Pasture Park uncovered large numbers of shells, but found something more significant: tiny, live Manila clams burrowing into the sediment. Finding these juveniles confirms that the species is doing more than just surviving in the harbor. It is successfully reproducing, marking the end of the northwestern Atlantic's long period of immunity from the species. To a marine biologist, finding a tiny clam is significantly more concerning than finding a large one. An adult clam can easily be a hitchhiker, a solitary individual that fell off the hull of a passing cargo ship or was discarded. But a tiny clam is a biological signal that the species is actively breeding in the local environment. This biological turning point is critical. A few stowaways create a flat, manageable population, but a breeding population triggers exponential growth. Once it reaches this stage, it moves faster than researchers can track. You cannot physically remove microscopic larvae spreading through water. Crossing this threshold of self-sustainment means that the species has moved from being a temporary visitor to a permanent resident of the coast. This new population will exert immediate pressure on the harbor's existing life. As efficient filter feeders, these clams will compete directly with native shellfish for the microscopic food sources that sustain the entire ecosystem. There is also the issue of physical space. On these tidal mudflats, the available habitat is finite. As the invasive population grows, it can physically displace native species that have lived in these waters for thousands of years. The most complex threat is genetic. Manila clams can interbreed with related native species, altering the local gene pool. This interbreeding can lead to the loss of pure native lineages, replacing them with a hybridized population functioning differently within the ecosystem. This combination of resource competition, habitat loss, and genetic mixing creates a massive new challenge for conservation efforts that are already stretched thin. Biological invasions rarely follow a simple path, and the data from Boston Harbour has revealed an unexpected interaction between different species. Paradoxically, the arrival of the Manila clam provides a massive new food source for local predators. The exploding population essentially creates an all-you-can-eat buffet in the harbor. By providing an easier meal, these invaders might actually distract predators from hunting more vulnerable native species, like these soft-shell clams. This is particularly relevant for the invasive green crab. If this predator shifts its focus to the Manila clam, it could reduce the pressure on the native shellfish it usually consumes. It's a dynamic that functions as an accidental ecological shield, where the newest invader unintentionally mitigates some of the damage caused by a previous one. But this localized benefit doesn't erase the larger risk. The long-term impact of a breeding Manila clam population remains a significant concern for the health of the Atlantic coast. The biological data indicates that the composition of Boston Harbour has changed. Beneath this familiar skyline, the Manila clam is now a fixed part of the underwater landscape. Boston is likely just the starting point. With a reproducing population now established, it is only a matter of time before these clams spread further south along the Atlantic seaboard. In invasion biology, the arrival of a single organism is just a footnote. The real shift occurs in the silent moment they begin to reproduce.